everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to walk you through the full workflow of how I created this cover video. We're going to go step by step, starting with how I generated the images, and then moving into how I animated them and which model I used. For this project, I'm using the FreePic platform, specifically the Spaces feature, which makes the whole workflow really smooth. So let's get into it. Alright, so the first thing I did was create a text node where I described exactly what I wanted in simple English. In my case, the idea was Conor McGregor sitting on a sofa in his mansion using his phone. Nothing complicated, just a clear description. Then I connected this node to an image generator, and here I'm using Google Nano Banana 2. What I did was generate 4 different images just to have a few variations to choose from. And out of those, I picked the one that matched my vision the best, this one right here, which we're going to use as our main reference image. Now moving to the next scene, what I wanted here was a POV shot of the phone. So what I did was take the first image as a reference, and then I used a screenshot of Khabib choking Conor from their fight on an Instagram feed. The idea was to make it look like he's scrolling and seeing that moment on his phone. So I combined the original image and screenshot as reference, combined with a simple prompt describing the scene. Something like close-up shot of the man's phone screen looking at, and then you refer to the screenshot image, and the result came out really solid. Now the next step was to add a notification on the phone. I wanted it to look like a message from Dana White, so I took an image of Dana White, used it as the profile picture, and added it as another reference. Then, in the prompt, I described something like slightly zoom in on the phone in his hand and add an iPhone message notification from his boss, plus the text I want to appear in the message. The result was actually very good, but there was a small issue. It didn't apply the zoom I asked. So what I did was take that image and adjust it slightly, basically only focusing on the zoom effect in the prompt. For the next frame, I wanted a front close-up of Conor's face with a slight smirk. So again, same process. Create a text node, describe the shot, and add the first image as reference. This is very important because it keeps the character consistent. I generated around 6 variations, and I picked the one that matched the style best, which was the second image. Now for the following shot, I wanted something more dynamic, so I went for a high angle, bird's eye view of him throwing the phone with things like chips flying around, just to make the scene more alive. I generated a few options, picked one I liked, and then made one adjustment. I wanted the phone to display the screen from the previous scene instead of the backside of it, so I took the previous screen image, used it as a reference, and told it to edit it just like I wanted. Again, simple prompt, simple adjustment. From here, it's basically the same workflow repeated. For each new scene, take the previous images as reference, describe the new shot, generate multiple variations, and then pick the best one. For example, I added a scene where I was drinking a specific energy drink. I just described it in the prompt, and the model handles it perfectly. Now let's move to the training scenes. Here I wanted him running on a treadmill in his home gym. I generated a few images and I liked the first one. However, I wanted a different camera angle of the same scene. This is where the variation tool in FreePic becomes really useful. What you can do is create a new node and choose the variation option. Now link it with the image you chose. And here you can choose the angles you want the tool to generate. Then you just pick the one you like and upscale it, since it gives you the result in a lower quality. This is super helpful because it gives you more flexibility without starting from scratch. For the final scene, I wanted something like a poster on the wall of the big White House fight event. Again, same logic. Describe the scene and add previous images as references. This keeps everything visually consistent. Alright, after creating all the frames, we now move into the animation part. Here I'm using Kling 3.0. What we are going to do is create a video generator node, and then we are going to connect it to the first and last frame. So basically, we are telling Kling, start from this image to end on this image I used 720p resolution, and most clips are around 3 to 4 seconds. We don't need more than that. Now here's the interesting part. Most of the time, if the scene is simple, Kling actually understands what to do just from the images. For example, in the first video, I literally just wrote the word animate as the prompt and it worked. Sometimes, however, you need to be more specific. For example, in the second scene, the image inside the phone was moving when I animated the frames, which I didn't want. So I added, the image on the phone stays still, only camera movement. In another scene, I wanted a specific camera motion, like an orbit, so I just added that word to the prompt. So as you can see, the prompts are not complicated. You just need to be clear and explain what you want the animation to look like. One thing to keep in mind is you will not always get the perfect result on the first try. Sometimes you'll need to tweak the prompt, regenerate, and adjust some small details. And that's completely normal. What I do most of the times when I have a complicated movement I want to achieve is I write the prompt in ChatGPT and tell him to make it easier to understand and cleaner. That way I don't have to worry about my wording not being perfect. Now for the final step, which is editing. What you want to do is import all your generated clips and speed up certain parts, especially the transition between scenes. That way it gives the speed effect style. Then add music, and most importantly, add sound effects. Things like movement sounds and ambient sounds. These small details make a huge difference in how the final video feels. And that's pretty much the full workflow. As you can see, the process is actually very simple. Start with a clear idea, generate your images step by step, animate them using Kling, and bring everything together in editing. The key is really just being clear with your prompts and iterating when needed. Now, if you want to find out how I created this movie trailer,
your whole family is...
click the link on the video and I'll see you there.